Hey, what's up, everyone? Just on my way home from work. Another long day. I got a cold. Feel like crap. But anyway, NFL trade deadline last night or yesterday, 4 p.m. trade deadline. Saw a couple of big names moved. And you saw another one that could have been moved. It was a lot of the talk of I guess you could say some of the circles, that the Browns and Bengals had a deal for AJ McCarron lined up. Bengals submitted the trade to the NFL. The Browns messed up on their side is what a lot of the reports are. Therefore, the deal did not go through. The Cleveland Browns apparently went to the NFL trying to get them to allow the trade to go through anyway, regardless of basically the fact that the trade was botched. So apparently what happened was the Bengals had agreed to a deal with the Cleveland Browns, like I said, moving AJ McCarron for a second-round pick in 2018 and a third-round pick in 2018. Huge haul for the Bengals there. That would have been a big get for AJ McCarron, a quarterback who, I mean, he was respectable a couple years ago. Obviously has not played much simply because of Andy Dalton. And Andy Dalton's the team's quarterback. And I don't care what people say. I don't think AJ McCarron would be any better than what we have right now with Andy Dalton, especially with this offensive line. It doesn't matter. You can put Tom Brady back there, and it's going to still hit the fan. So, with that being the case, the Bengals would have had a nice haul. Bringing back a couple, would it be high draft picks, considering the Browns have not won a game yet this season. So those picks, like I said, would have been good ones. Hugh Jackson won as quarterback. Apparently there was some infighting within the Browns organization, and some guys did not want AJ McCarron for that price, and Hugh Jackson did. And obviously, if you remember the Carson Palmer deal, Hugh Jackson acquired Carson Palmer from when he was with the Raiders for numerous high picks, and that, and obviously with Hugh Jackson getting fired shortly thereafter, it did not really pan out for the Raiders. However, in this case, with the Browns being as bad as they are right now, there's a lot of talk that Hugh Jackson, a lot of expectations that Hugh Jackson will not be with the Cleveland Browns much longer. I would imagine he's only won one game in his tenure, in his 1.5 years right now with the Browns. One game is just, it's not gonna cut it. And with that being the case, the Cleveland Browns, like I said, with that expectation that he could be fired. Obviously, the Browns do not want to make that move to acquire AJ McCarron for draft picks, which would be used for obviously rebuilding the franchise more than obviously what they're doing right now. So, again, it would have been, I think, you point the blame where you may on this one. Obviously, with it being AJ McCarron and and his deal being up here, shortly, the Browns obviously seem to think that they would be able to, if they really want him, acquire him via free agency. So, if that's the case, good on them. I still think, the Bengals should have, pulled the trigger on a deal much sooner than what they did. I think, pulling the trigger on a deal, I think if you did it in the off season earlier, this past off season, I think would have been good and give him a chance to start somewhere. I think AJ McCarron does deserve it. He's got a great head on his shoulders. Obviously, he's a respectable guy. He understands the business, so good on him. Like I said, I think he's good enough to start somewhere. It's just obviously not going to be here in Cincinnati as long as Andy Dalton is in town. So, with that being the case, Mike Brown did the right thing in trying to deal him, and unfortunately, it just didn't work out with the Cleveland Browns here, as like I said, the rumor is that, and all reports indicate that they ended up, the Bengals submitted the paperwork with their signature on it. The Browns did not submit their end. So it was obviously one big miscommunication. Whether it was done on purpose or not, that remains to be seen, and that will probably never come out. So it's looking back on it, like I said, the Bengals were doing the right thing in moving and looking to move AJ McCarron to obviously give him a chance to start somewhere else. Unfortunately, it just didn't get done. Would have been huge for the Bengals. He could have used one of those picks or both of them on offensive linemen if possible to help rebuild our absolutely horrific offensive line that we have right now. So, if that's the case, we'll see. I believe they can still deal AJ McCarron. He would just have to go through waivers. That's my understanding on this. If that's the case, the deal could still be done. It's going to be, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. What goes on. I still think that, I know a lot of people call for AJ McCarron to be our quarterback here in Cincinnati. I just don't see it. I don't think you're going to get anything more from AJ McCarron than what you would with Andy Dalton. You look at what AJ did with the Bengals team that he had. The year Andy got hurt a couple years ago, our playoff year, 2015. I think he went 2-3, I believe, is what his record was. Like I said, with what was one of the most talented Bengals teams that we've had in recent memory, AJ, granted he was young, but just wasn't able to get much done with the talent he had. Like I said, it was the fact that, he was young, and I get that. I'd cut him some slack, but, he was still throwing, still threw a good amount of picks, a couple touchdowns. So, let AJ start somewhere else. Andy Dalton's our quarterback. I'm behind Andy Dalton. Obviously he's, you look at Andy Dalton, he's a career 90-plus quarterback rating, player. You know what you're going to get from Andy Dalton. Most of the time, he's not going to lose you a football game. He has, obviously, he's done it in his career. It's going to happen. But, if people are going to say that he's not, won a playoff game, that is true. But this entire organization from the 90s on hasn't won a playoff game. So, that falls on, on the team. And that falls on the coaching staff, on Marvin Lewis, who I believe is not, he doesn't get his team prepared for those type of games. It is what it is. So, that's the, that's my thought there on that. Again, thank you guys for tuning in here to this show. Just like I said, head home from work. So as always, check out feeltheimpactsports.com. Check out my Twitter account at I am Chris Asbrock. And as always, thank you guys so much for your support, and have yourselves a fantastic rest of the night. Take care.